When Jesus spoke in his famous parable of the sower, he called upon the crowds to listen well, to understand, so they might turn and be healed. And then in the next section of Mark's Gospel, Mark fills in a bit of a backstory that he'd left untold earlier, and he tells us why John the Baptist got arrested. One of the most confusing things in the New Testament is to try and work out the Herod family, and it doesn't get much easier when we look at the other documents we have as well. But what we know is that it began with Herod the Great, who died in 4 BC, and he had 4 sons, and when he died, the territory of Israel was basically divided up amongst those 4 sons. Herod Antipas got Galilee and another area called Perea. And he's the Herod that we hear of a lot in the Gospel of Mark, Herod Antipas. Now we know a lot about this story because of the Jewish historian Josephus, who tells us more details about this story, and he mentions John the Baptist's death as well. Josephus tells us that Herod had gone off to Rome, and he'd taken up with a woman called Herodias, and she wanted to marry him. They wanted to marry, but unfortunately Herod Antipas was already married to another wife who was the daughter of King Aretas. Now John the Baptist spoke against this. Herodias didn't like that, and so Herodias, because of her promptings, had Herod Antipas arrest John the Baptist and put him in prison. So Herod the Great, Herod Antipas's father, was a great builder, and he built around the Dead Sea. He built a number of fortresses, or improved a number of fortresses. One of them was Machaerus on the eastern shore of the Dead Sea, and this is where John the Baptist was imprisoned. According to Josephus, when Herod came back from Rome with Herodias, this was a great insult to King Aretas, and so he had a war on his hands. And it's consistent with that story to what we read in the Gospel of Mark, that Herod threw a great banquet for his birthday with all the leading men of Galilee. He might have needed them very soon because he might have had a war to fight. How do we know about that? It's an interesting speculation. We know from Luke's Gospel that amongst Jesus' disciples there was Joanna, the wife of Chusa, and we're told there that Chusa was the steward of Herod's household. So Chusa was probably at Machaerus organising this dinner party. And so, you know, it's speculative, but is it that we have here a hint towards our eyewitnesses of this account? Chusa the steward, his wife Joanna connected with Jesus up north. Here is how we know about the details of John the Baptist and the dance of Herodias' daughter that led to his death.